Municipalities increasingly rely on fines and fees to generate revenue. This trend is problematic. It undermines the principles of justice and fairness. Instead of funding essential services through equitable means, cities turn to their most vulnerable residents. They extract money through fines and fees.
This over-reliance on punitive measures stems from various factors. These include budget shortfalls, shrinking state and federal funding, and political reluctance to raise taxes. As a result, law enforcement agencies are pressured to act as revenue generators. This pressure creates a perverse incentive to prioritize issuing citations and fines over public safety.
The burden of fines and fees falls disproportionately on low-income and minority communities. These communities often face systemic barriers. These include poverty, unemployment, and lack of access to resources. They are then subjected to aggressive enforcement of minor offences. These offences include traffic violations, parking infractions, and code violations.
The consequences of this disparate treatment are severe. Unpaid fines can lead to driver's license suspensions, hindering employment opportunities. The accumulation of fines can trap individuals in a cycle of debt. This deepens their economic hardship.
This practice perpetuates existing inequalities and undermines social mobility.
Across the country, examples of revenue-driven enforcement abound. In Ferguson, Missouri, the Department of Justice found that the city relied heavily on fines and fees collected primarily from black residents. Traffic stops for minor violations, such as broken taillights, became commonplace. This resulted in a disproportionate number of citations issued to black drivers.
Similarly, in New York City, the over-policing of quality-of-life offenses such as fare evasion and public urination has disproportionately impacted Black and Latino communities. These minor offenses carry hefty fines, which can be difficult to pay for those already struggling financially.
Section 4. The erosion of trust and fairness. Using law enforcement for revenue generation erodes trust in the police. When people perceive that police interactions are motivated by profit rather than public safety, it breeds resentment and distrust. This lack of trust makes it more difficult for police to build relationships with communities. It hinders their ability to effectively address crime. Moreover, this practice raises serious concerns about fairness and due process. When the primary goal is revenue generation, the focus shifts from ensuring justice to maximizing fines collected. This can lead to over-policing of minor offences, racial profiling, and a lack of transparency and accountability. Section 5. Toward just and equitable policing. To address the issue of revenue-driven policing, we must prioritize fairness, equity, and justice.
Policy reforms are crucial. These reforms include eliminating fines and fees for low-level offences, implementing income-based fines, and providing alternative payment options such as community service. Furthermore, we need to shift from a punitive approach to a community-oriented model of policing. This involves building trust, fostering positive relationships, and addressing the root causes of crime through social programs and economic empowerment initiatives.
Section 6. A call for reform. The reliance on fines and fees for revenue generation is a deeply flawed practice. It undermines trust in law enforcement, exacerbates inequality, and perpetuates a cycle of poverty and incarceration. We must demand a different approach to public safety, one that prioritizes fairness, equity, and justice for all. By embracing policy reforms, community policing, and alternative revenue sources, we can create a system that protects the vulnerable and promotes a more just and equitable society. It is time to end the era of using law enforcement as a tool for revenue generation. We must prioritize the well-being and dignity of all communities.